Admiral James Miller stood at the command center of Earth's Defense Station Alpha, his weathered face illuminated by the red emergency lights. The massive display screen before him showed something he had hoped never to see: the destruction of humanity's Europa colony. "Any response to our peace signals?" he asked, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. "None, sir," replied Lieutenant Tom Ward from his station. They're just continuing their attack." The strange pyramid-shaped ships of the Dominion fleet moved with mechanical precision, their purple energy beams cutting through Europa's protective domes like paper. Miller watched helplessly as thousands of lives winked out in an instant, their years of work and dreams vanishing in flashes of light. "Play their message again," Miller ordered, his fists clenched at his sides. The main screen flickered, showing the alien transmission they'd received 6 hours ago. The Dominion's representative, a tall figure hidden beneath flowing robes, spoke in perfectly translated English. "People of Earth, your existence has been noted by the Dominion. Your resources are now required for the greater good of advanced civilizations. Submit to immediate resource extraction rights, or face elimination. You have 12 hours to comply. Resistance is inadvisable." Miller's jaw tightened as he watched the Mars colony's distress signals join those from Europa. The Red Planet's defenses, humanity's best technology, didn't even slow down the alien ships. "Get me the World Council," he commanded. "Emergency Protocol 7. Within minutes, the screen split into 12 sections, showing the faces of Earth's most powerful leaders. Some looked afraid, others angry, but all wore the same expression of grim determination. "Ladies and gentlemen," Miller began, "you've all seen what's happening. These aliens, this Dominion, they're not here to talk. They're not here to trade. They're here to take everything we have." "Can we fight them?" asked the American president, her face pale but resolute. Miller shook his head. "Not with our current technology. But I just received some interesting data from our deep space monitoring stations. This isn't the first time they've done this. We've detected similar energy signatures from at least 3 other star systems in the past year alone. They're systematic hunters," the Chinese premier observed, "moving from one developing civilization to another." "Exactly," Miller confirmed. "And that's their mistake. They think we're just another primitive species they can bully into submission. They expect us to either surrender or fight conventionally and lose." The Russian president leaned forward. "What are you suggesting, Admiral?" "I'm suggesting we show them something they've never seen before. Humanity's greatest weapon has always been our ability to adapt, to think differently. We've spent our entire history fighting against impossible odds. It's time to show these aliens what happens when you back humans into a corner." The Indian Prime Minister's voice crackled through the speakers. "The Emergency Defense Protocol." "Yes," Miller said firmly. "Full activation. All resources, all personnel, everything we have. If they want our world, they'll have to learn why humanity has survived every disaster we've ever faced." The vote was unanimous. Within minutes, hidden facilities around the world hummed to life. Emergency broadcasts began worldwide, calling all citizens to their designated positions. The greatest mobilization in human history had begun. As Miller watched the Dominion ships approaching Earth, a strange calm settled over him. They thought they were dealing with just another primitive species. They expected either immediate surrender or futile resistance. They had no idea what humanity was capable of when united against a common threat. "Send one final message to the Dominion," he ordered. Lieutenant Ward looked up. "Sir." Miller's eyes never left the screen as he spoke. "Tell them, you want war. Here's your war." The message was sent, short and defiant. As it transmitted, Miller knew humanity had just entered its greatest fight for survival. But for the first time since the aliens appeared, he felt something close to hope. The Dominion was about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating humans. They wanted war. They were going to get one they'd never forget. Deep beneath Mount McKinley, in the hidden Olympus base, Earth's military leaders gathered around a massive holographic table. The room buzzed with tense energy as Admiral Miller walked in, his boots echoing against the steel floor. "The Dominion has destroyed our lunar research stations," he announced without preamble. "They're making good on their threats." General Robert Hawks, commander of Earth's ground forces, slammed his fist on the table. 8,000 people. 8,000 of our best and brightest. Gone just like that. "That's exactly why I called this meeting." A new voice rang out. Dr. Rebecca Stone strode into the room, her white lab coat contrasting with the military uniforms around her. She carried a small black cube in her hands. "Dr. Stone," Miller nodded. "Tell them what you showed me." She placed the cube on the table. It hummed to life, projecting detailed schematics into the air. "This is Project Phoenix. We've been working on it in secret for the past 5 years, ever since we detected the first unusual signals from deep space." The military leaders leaned forward, studying the complex designs floating before them. "What exactly are we looking at?" asked Admiral Beth Thompson of the Pacific Fleet. "Hope," Dr. Stone replied simply. "When we discovered that alien ship crash site in the Arctic 3 years ago, everyone focused on trying to copy their technology. That was the wrong approach. Instead, my team studied how their tech worked and found ways to counter it." She touched the cube, and the display changed to show a strange-looking shield design. "The Dominion uses quantum-based weapons. They've probably never encountered a species advanced enough to understand how their weapons work, let alone counter them. But we did something they never expected. We innovated. Can we mass-produce these?" General Hawks asked, his eyes fixed on the designs. "Better," Dr. Stone smiled. "We already have. Hidden factories all across Earth have been building components for months. We just need to put them together." A lieutenant burst into the room. "Sirs, the Dominion fleet is moving. They're targeting major cities with some kind of energy weapon." Miller straightened up. "Time for a decision. Dr. Stone, how long do you need?" "Give me 48 hours to bring everything online." "You have 24, Miller replied. He turned to the other leaders. "We need to buy time. Make it look like we're fighting back with everything we've got. Conventional weapons, missiles, everything. Make them think they know exactly what we're capable of." The room erupted into action. Orders flew out across secure channels. Around the world, military bases went into overdrive. Fighter jets scrambled, missile silos opened, and naval fleets moved into position. It would all be useless against the Dominion's technology, but that wasn't the point. "One more thing," Dr. Stone called out as the leaders headed for their posts. "We found something else in that crashed ship, the Dominion. They've done this hundreds of times before. They don't innovate anymore. They just take technology from the species they conquer. They've become dependent on stealing rather than creating." Miller processed this information. "That's why they're so confident. They think they know exactly what we can do, because they've seen it all before." "Exactly," Dr. Stone nodded. "But they've never encountered a species that could develop new technology this quickly. That's humanity's real strength, not our current technology, but how fast we can create new solutions." The ground shook as the first Dominion attacks hit Earth's surface. Emergency sirens wailed in the distance. Miller walked to the command center's main window, looking up at the sky where purple energy beams were already cutting through Earth's clouds. "Dr. Stone," he said quietly, "you have 24 hours to ready humanity's surprise. Make them count." She grabbed her tablet and headed for the door. "Oh, they won't know what hit them. Admiral, the Dominion thinks they're dealing with just another primitive species. Time to show them what happens when you force humanity to get creative." Above them, the sky burned purple with alien weapons. But beneath the mountain, humanity was preparing a response that would change the galaxy forever. The world burned, but not randomly. Every missile launch, every defensive position, every failed counterattack served a purpose. On the surface, Humanity appeared to be fighting exactly as the Dominion expected, desperately and hopelessly. In the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, the real war preparation was underway. Status report. Admiral Miller's voice crackled through the secured channel to Belt Station Alpha, hidden inside a hollowed-out asteroid. Operation Shadow is at 70% completion, replied Captain Mike Wilson, watching thousands of tiny dots on his screen. Each dot represented a microfactory, secretly placed throughout the asteroid belt over the past 6 months. The Dominion scouts haven't noticed anything unusual. Of course they haven't. Dr. Stone cut in from her position at Olympus Base. They're looking for what they expect to see: primitive weapons and desperate humans. They'd never think to look for automated manufacturing facilities in the asteroids themselves. Miller nodded, though neither could see him. How long until the first wave of ships is ready? 8 hours, Wilson reported. We're using the asteroid's own materials. Each microfactory is producing components that will combine into our new fleet. The quantum displacement shields are already in production. On Earth, the situation grew worse by the hour. The Dominion ships methodically destroyed military bases, shipyards, and defensive positions. Their energy weapons cut through Earth's strongest bunkers like they were made of paper. Millions fled underground into prepared shelters, all according to plan. Dr. Stone worked frantically in her lab, surrounded by holographic displays showing the latest test results. "The shields are working perfectly," she announced. "Better than we hoped. The Dominion's weapons literally can't touch anything protected by them." "How is that possible?" Wilson asked. "Simple physics, really," she replied, her fingers flying over her control panel. "Their weapons work by disrupting quantum states. Our shields create a displacement field that shifts anything inside it slightly out of phase with normal spacetime. You can't disrupt something you can't properly interact with. And they've never seen anything like this before. How could they? They stopped innovating centuries ago. Why develop new technology when you can just steal it from others?" The bitterness in her voice was clear. That's their weakness. They'd forgotten how to think creatively. In orbit, the Dominion fleet moved with mechanical precision. Their ships, each one a perfect pyramid of dark metal, maintained formation as they continued their systematic destruction of Earth's defenses. They never broke pattern, never adapted their tactics. They had no reason to. Their strategy had worked countless times before. Inside Belt Station Alpha, Captain Wilson watched the final pieces fall into place. All microfactories are now at 85% completion. First wave of ships will be ready in 5 hours. "Good," Miller replied, "because the Dominion just issued their final warning. They're demanding Earth's unconditional surrender within the next 6 hours." Dr. Stone's voice carried a hint of satisfaction. "Perfect timing. Let them think they've won. Let them come in close to accept our surrender." The next few hours passed in tense silence. Throughout the asteroid belt, thousands of microfactories worked tirelessly, assembling ships unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. They weren't large or powerful by Dominion standards. They didn't need to be. They just needed to be numerous and equipped with the right technology. "All factories at 98%, Wilson reported. "First wave of ships is ready for deployment." "Hold position," Miller ordered. "Wait for my signal." "Dr. Stone, are you ready with the broadcast?" "Yes." One apparently desperate surrender message, with a hidden activation code embedded in the transmission. "The moment the Dominion moves into position to accept our surrender, we can activate every ship simultaneously." Wilson looked at his final readout. 10,000 ships, each one smaller than a Dominion fighter, but protected by technology the aliens couldn't understand. 10,000 vessels armed not with energy weapons, but with humanity's signature blend of innovation and determination. "This is either the boldest military move in human history," Wilson said quietly, "or our last mistake. The Dominion thinks they're dealing with primitive humans fighting a primitive war," Miller replied. "Time to show them what real innovation looks like." Above Earth, the Dominion fleet began moving into position to accept humanity's surrender. They had no idea they were about to face the greatest military surprise in galactic history. The Dominion's command ship hung in Earth's orbit like a massive dark pyramid, its surface reflecting the fires burning across the planet below. Inside their ships, the alien commanders watched with satisfaction as Admiral Miller's face appeared on their screens. "People of Earth," Miller began, his voice heavy with defeat, "after careful consideration of our situation, we have no choice but to surrender to the Dominion's superior forces." He paused, then added, "We request a formal meeting to discuss the terms of our surrender." The Dominion's Supreme Commander, hidden beneath ceremonial robes, nodded to its subordinates. Everything was proceeding exactly as it had with hundreds of other civilizations. Their data showed a 100% success rate with this approach. "Your surrender is accepted," the Supreme Commander transmitted back. "We will approach your main command center to begin the resource extraction process." As the Dominion fleet moved closer to Earth, Lieutenant Tom Ward monitored their approach from the hidden Olympus base. "They're taking the bait, sir. The entire fleet is moving into tight formation, just as you predicted they would." Miller watched the tactical display, his face showing no emotion. "They're following their standard victory protocol, Dr. Stone." The surrender message contained the activation code. She confirmed, her fingers hovering over her control panel. "Every ship we built is ready, waiting for your command." The massive Dominion fleet moved into position, their ships arranging themselves in a perfect geometric pattern above Earth's atmosphere. It was an impressive sight, and exactly what humanity had been waiting for. Miller took a deep breath. "Send the signal." Dr. Stone pressed a single button. Throughout the asteroid belt, 10,000 hidden ships hummed to life. The micro-factories that had built them transformed into launch platforms, each one precisely aimed. Captain Wilson's voice came through from Belt Station Alpha. "All ships activated. Quantum displacement shields at full power. Launching in 3, 2, 1. The asteroid belt erupted. Thousands of small, sleek vessels shot toward Earth at incredible speeds. They weren't the clumsy, primitive ships the Dominion expected. These were something entirely new, ships designed specifically to counter Dominion technology. The Supreme Commander watched in confusion as their sensors detected the approaching swarm. "Impossible," it transmitted. "Their technology level cannot support." The message cut off as the first wave of Earth ships reached the Dominion fleet. The aliens fired their purple energy beams, but the shots passed harmlessly through the human vessels, their quantum displacement shields making them practically ghosts. "Now," Miller commanded, "show them how humans fight." The Earth ships didn't use energy weapons. They didn't need to. Instead, they carried something much simpler and far more effective. Guided chunks of asteroid, accelerated to incredible speeds. The Dominion's shields, designed to stop energy weapons, were useless against simple kinetic impacts. "Their shields are failing," Ward reported, excitement breaking through his professional demeanor. "They've never seen anything like this." The Dominion fleet's perfect formation broke apart as they tried to adapt to an attack pattern they'd never encountered. Their ships, so effective at destroying primitive weapons, had no defense against humanity's innovative approach. Dr. Stone watched the tactical display with satisfaction. "They're trying to reconfigure their shields, but they can't. They don't understand the technology because they didn't develop it themselves. They just stole it from others." The battle, if it could even be called that, lasted less than 20 minutes. The Dominion's mighty fleet, terror of 1,000 worlds, was reduced to floating debris by ships they couldn't hit, using weapons they couldn't stop. As the last Dominion ship fell silent, Miller opened a channel to all Earth forces, Phase 1 complete. But remember, this was the easy part. They still have thousands more ships out there. And now they know we can fight back. He turned to Dr. Stone. "How long until we can start moving against their other fleets?" She smiled. "The micro-factories are already building more ships, And this time, we know exactly what we're doing. In the space above Earth, the debris of the Dominion fleet drifted silently, a testament to humanity's first victory in what would become a much larger war. News of Earth's victory spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. On a dozen conquered worlds, subjugated species watched in disbelief as recordings of the battle played on every available screen. The mighty Dominion fleet, destroyed by a civilization they had dismissed as primitive. In the war room of Olympus Base, Admiral Miller studied the galaxy map. Hundreds of red dots marked known Dominion strongholds. Each one represented a fleet as large as the one they had just defeated. "Status report," he called out. "The microfactories have doubled our fleet size," Captain Wilson responded from Belt Station Alpha. 20,000 ships ready for action, with more being built every hour. Dr. Stone walked in, carrying new data tablets. "Better yet, we've analyzed the debris from their ships. The Dominion's technology is actually a mixture of stolen systems from different species. They barely understand how half of it works." "Can we use that?" Miller asked. "Already are." She brought up a holographic display. "Look at this. Each Dominion ship uses exactly the same shield frequency, exactly the same weapon settings. They haven't changed them in centuries. They don't know how." Lieutenant Ward interrupted with urgent news. "Sir, we're detecting multiple Dominion fleets moving toward Earth. They're coming from every direction." Miller smiled for the first time in days. "Good. They're reacting exactly as expected. They only know one way to fight: overwhelm with superior numbers." "All ships, prepare for launch," he commanded. "Dr. Stone, is the new weapon ready?" She nodded. "We call it the Liberty Signal. It's a simple broadcast, but it carries proof of the Dominion's lies. Every conquered species will see that their masters aren't all powerful. They're just thieves who got lucky." The first wave of human ships moved out from the asteroid belt. They were different from the first generation. Smaller, faster, even harder to hit. Each one carried both weapons and the means to broadcast the Liberty Signal. "Dominion fleets entering the solar system," Ward reported. 5,000 ships in the first wave alone. "Let them come," Miller ordered. "All ships, execute Operation Scattered Thunder." The human fleet didn't meet the Dominion head-on. Instead, they split into smaller groups, each one targeting a different Dominion formation. The alien ships tried to adjust, but their rigid tactics worked against them. "They can't adapt fast enough," Dr. Stone observed. "Look, they're still trying to use the same attack patterns that failed before." The battle unfolded across the solar system. Human ships darted between planets and asteroids, using natural gravity wells to slingshot themselves at impossible speeds. The Dominion fleet, designed for straight-line attacks, couldn't keep up. "Liberty signal broadcasting on all frequencies," Ward announced. "We're getting responses. Hundreds of them. Conquered worlds are rising up." Miller watched as green dots began appearing on the galaxy map. Each one represented a planet breaking free from Dominion control. The aliens had never faced a war on two fronts, both from their victims and their intended prey. "Sir," Wilson's voice carried excitement. "The Dominion ships, they're retreating. All of them." The massive alien fleet, caught between innovative human tactics and uprising on their home worlds, began a disorganized withdrawal. Ships designed for attack had no proper defensive protocols. Dr. Stone checked her readings. "We destroyed 30% of their attack force. More importantly, every ship that escaped will carry our message back to their conquered worlds." Miller nodded. "Begin Phase 3. Load the coordinates I'm sending you." "Those are deep in Dominion space," Ward noted with surprise. "Exactly." Miller's voice was firm. "They came to our home and tried to destroy us. Time to return the favor. But we're not going to conquer. We're going to liberate." The human fleet regrouped, their quantum displacement shields glowing softly in the darkness of space. Behind them, the microfactories continued building more ships, preparing for the biggest operation in human history. The war wasn't over. But for the first time in centuries, the Dominion wasn't the one controlling the battlefield. Deep in Dominion space, a new kind of battle was being fought. The human fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel near the planet Rigel 3, one of the Dominion's oldest conquests. The planet's orbital defenses, designed to keep slaves in rather than invaders out, fell quickly to Earth's advanced ships. Begin broadcast, Admiral Miller commanded from his flagship, the Thunderchild. The Liberty signal beamed down to the planet's surface, showing the truth about their Dominion masters. Look at their response, Dr. Stone said, monitoring the data from her station. The local species, they're fighting back. They've been waiting centuries for this chance. Within hours, Rigel 3 was free for the first time in 500 years. It was the third planet liberated in as many days. Incoming transmission, Lieutenant Ward announced. It's from the Dominion High Council themselves. The main screen lit up, showing the Supreme Commander. For the first time, the alien's voice carried something new. Fear. This is your final warning, it declared. Cease your attacks or face total destruction. You cannot comprehend the forces you are dealing with. Miller's response was calm. We comprehend perfectly. We found your secret archives on Rigel 3. We know the truth now. Dr. Stone stepped forward. You're not superior beings. You're parasites. You haven't invented anything new in over 1,000 years. You just steal technology from others and use it against them. The Supreme Commander's robes rustled as it stepped back. Impossible. Our technology is beyond your understanding. No, Miller replied. We understand it better than you do. That's why we can counter it so easily. That's why your ships can't touch us. We didn't just copy technology like you do. We improved it. The transmission cut off abruptly. Moments later, alarms blared across the human fleet. Massive Dominion force incoming. Ward shouted. It's their home fleet, 10,000 ships. Miller smiled. Right on schedule. All ships, execute Formation Delta. Dr. Stone, activate the new shields. The human fleet split into smaller groups, each one protected by the latest version of the quantum displacement shields. The Dominion ships fired their energy weapons, but the beams passed harmlessly through the human vessels. They're still using the same tactics, Wilson noted from his command ship. They literally can't think of anything new. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Human ships danced between the rigid formations of the Dominion fleet, their advanced shields making them practically invulnerable. Each hit from Earth's kinetic weapons took down another alien ship. More transmissions coming in, Ward reported excitedly. 7 more worlds have overthrown their Dominion controllers. They're asking to join our alliance. Dr. Stone worked at her station, coordinating with the newly liberated worlds. Each planet that breaks free gives us more information about Dominion technology. Their whole empire is built on stolen ideas, copied without understanding. The Dominion home fleet, faced with tactics they couldn't predict and technology they couldn't counter, began to break apart. Ships designed for victory had no protocols for retreat. They're running, Wilson announced. Their entire home fleet is in full retreat. Miller stood at his command station, watching the Dominion ships flee. Send word to all liberated worlds. Phase 4 begins now. We're taking this fight to their capital. Dr. Stone looked up from her readings. The Dominion's power was always built on fear and stolen technology. Now that their subjects know the truth, their empire falls apart. Miller finished. Prepare all ships for the final push. We're not just fighting for Earth anymore. We're fighting for every species they've ever enslaved. As the human fleet regrouped, preparing for their final assault on the Dominion throne world, messages of support poured in from across the galaxy. Species that had been enslaved for centuries were rising up, ready to join humanity in their fight for freedom. The next battle would be the last. The Dominion was about to learn that stealing technology was no match for true innovation. The Dominion throne world hung in space like a dark jewel, its surface covered in massive pyramids that stretched into the clouds. Around it, the largest fleet battle in galactic history was about to begin. Final count, Lieutenant Ward reported from the Thunderchild's bridge. 40,000 human ships, joined by 15,000 vessels from the liberated worlds. The Dominion has gathered everything they have left. 60,000 ships. Admiral Miller stood at the command center, Dr. Stone by his side. The tactical display showed their allied fleet facing the last remnants of an empire that had terrorized the galaxy for thousands of years. "Send the message," Miller ordered. The transmission went out on all frequencies. "Attention Dominion forces. This is Admiral James Miller of Earth. Your empire of theft and lies ends today. Surrender, and you will be treated fairly. Resist, and you will fall." The response came immediately. On the main screen, the Supreme Commander appeared one last time, its robes now torn and disheveled. "You fool," it hissed. "We have ruled this galaxy since before your species learned to make fire. We cannot be defeated by primitives." Dr. Stone stepped forward. "You're wrong. We found your oldest records. You were once like us, creative, innovative, but you grew lazy. You decided it was easier to steal technology than to develop it. That was your first mistake. And your last," Miller added. "All ships, begin the attack." The human fleet moved first, using tactics developed over months of warfare. Ships equipped with quantum displacement shields flew in patterns that would have been impossible for the rigid Dominion formations to copy. "They're responding exactly as predicted," Wilson reported from his command ship, still using the same old attack patterns. The liberated species joined the attack, each one using strategies they had developed in secret during centuries of oppression. The Dominion fleet, faced with dozens of different attack patterns, couldn't adapt fast enough. "Their shields are failing across the board," Ward announced. "They still haven't figured out how to counter our weapons." The battle raged across the star system. Human ships, joined by their alien allies, tore through the Dominion's defenses. Ships that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries fell to weapons they couldn't understand and tactics they couldn't predict. "Their command ship is making a run for it," Wilson called out. "Not this time," Miller said firmly. "Thunderchild, ahead full. Let's end this." The flagship charged forward, leading a group of allied vessels. They caught the Supreme Commander's ship as it tried to flee. One volley of kinetic weapons was all it took. "Signal from the throne world," Ward reported, his voice excited. They're surrendering. The whole empire is surrendering." The battle ended as quickly as it had begun. Across the galaxy, the last Dominion holdouts laid down their arms as news of their leader's defeat spread. Hours later, Miller and Dr. Stone stood in front of the throne world's central pyramid. Representatives from dozens of liberated species gathered around them. "What happens now?" asked a delegate from one of the first worlds they'd freed. Miller looked at the gathered species, some humanoid, some completely alien, all of them free for the first time in centuries. "Now we rebuild. Not as conquerors like the Dominion, but as equals. Each species contributing their own innovations, their own ideas. The Dominion's greatest mistake," Dr. Stone added, "was forgetting that true strength comes from creativity and cooperation, not theft and dominance." A message from Earth appeared on Miller's communicator. The first faster-than-light ships built entirely by the liberated species had successfully launched. Already, they were improving on human designs, adding their own innovations. Miller smiled as he watched ships from a dozen worlds flying together overhead. "They wanted war," he said quietly. "Instead, they got innovation. They got cooperation. They got humanity at its best. And the galaxy will never be the same," Dr. Stone finished. Above them, the stars shone brighter in a galaxy free from the shadow of the Dominion. A galaxy where every species was free to grow, to create, and to reach for the stars on their own terms. Human innovation had not just won a war. It had launched a new age of peace and discovery for all species.